And then I saw that they had over 400 songs submitted, and then I waited some more. So one of the big parts about being a music producer or a beat producer is submitting your songs to labels or albums, competitions, beat battles, that type of thing. So when I was scrolling through Discord the other day, I saw that a lo-fi label, Chilled Cat Lo-Fi, were running a new compilation that was specifically asking for sleepy, nostalgic, slowed down lo-fi beats. I thought to myself, bang, let's do this. This is a label that I want to work with. They're asking for beats that are right in my wheelhouse, and so I got to work. Now, bear in mind that this is essentially a competition. You're submitting your track against all the other producers that are submitting their tracks and kind of hoping to have one of the best that they're going to accept and put into the album. Now, let's just jump into FL Studio. I'm going to break down the beat that I made for this competition. So this is the song I made. It is completely finished and arranged and mixed and mastered and everything. Just going to do a quick breakdown and then we'll see what happens when I send this off to Chillcat. The track starts here with 2 bars of just a drone, and then what I've got here is this like ambient piano soundscapes. Talk about that in a second, but we're starting off with just a drone playing for 2 bars. For those 2 bars, we're raising the master. This is the intro to the song, so we're just kind of really slowly essentially fading everything in. And then I've also got this piano soundscapes. And what this piano soundscapes is essentially like a randomized vital preset. So it's using 3 piano notes as the sample, and we've then got this like fairly quick attack, long hold and sustain envelope here. And it's mapped to the keys in the MIDI, and it starts the sample at like any random point for every key. So if I take a look at what's going on in the pattern, you'll see that like it's pretty random. I'm sticking within the chords the song's playing so that the notes relatively make sense. It's pretty random. So if I just let this play, you can hear that like it does some really interesting stuff with the notes. It's got 3 octaves on the sample, so any one of these notes could play any of those 3 octaves, and it's kind of just playing at like a random time depending on where the sample starts. Each time a note on the MIDI is input, so every time you play it, it's going to play slightly different. And I just like to put this in the background of my tracks as like ambient piano kind of soundscape that kind of just twinkles away throughout most of the track. On the mixer track for that, I've got a Valhalla Supermassive that's just playing like a big long reverb. I've also got a Solaris on there, so I've got 2 reverbs playing at the same time, which is interesting. I'm not sure why I did that, but just really kind of washing it out. Then got a limiter compressing some of those notes, just making sure nothing's too sharp. An EQ ducking out obviously a frequency that I found there that I really didn't like. And then finally a Pancake 2 that is auto panning those twinkly notes left to right as the song plays. 2 bars of the drone. I brought in my piano chords for the track. So what do we have here? We've got a D sharp suspended chord over a G sharp. Similar chord there, but missing that suspended note. D sharp in 2 octaves, and this time over a G. So that's just a D sharp major chord. Inverted, going back to my original chord there. And then I don't know what this chord is. So we get 2 bars and then the chords come in. And those chords play for 4 bars, really long, drawn out chords, setting the stage. This is a sleepy, kind of slow, nostalgic beat. Along with that chords, the only other thing that I brought into the intro, sort of like another twinkly, ear candy type melody, but a bit more prominent than that ambient piano soundscapes. This time I'm using the Imagiro Piano 2. just leaving it on the default setting. So just kind of playing with the chords there, helping just build a little bit in that intro. Processing on that piano, I've got an EQ doing absolutely nothing, and I've got Solaris just adding a little bit of shimmer and a little bit of reverb. So after 6 bars of the whole track, we move into what I call like the first main hook. So we get a bass and some drums come in. This is a live bass recording. Really simple, just a couple of like extra filler moving notes there. For the bass, I'm using a Guitar Rig 7. Using Guitar Rig 7 on the Clean Bass 1 preset. Got an EQ, focusing in on those like subby low frequency, getting rid of any twang from the bass, and also taking out any low rumble because I don't want it. I wanted it to be really clean. And then I've also got TDR Nova doing a bit of dynamic EQ in that kind of mid subby range as well to make sure nothing's too harsh. Just ducking out any frequencies that are really harsh in the mix there. Also got the most simple drum pattern I think I've ever put on a track. I've just got a kick and a snare. Using a couple of Dark Winter sounds, I think from the old Dark Winter ethereal sleepy drum kit. I still really love those sounds. Mixing on those, I've got a kick. Almost all of my elements are sidechained to the kick, so every time that kick hits, it's ducking out the pianos and the guitars. And then I've also got a snare, and that's just got an EQ on the high end, so just getting that like kind of mid frequency warmth from the snare. Layered in a guitar arp here. This arp's got a bit of EQ, just ever so slightly taming and raising. So we're running Valhalla Supermassive on this guitar arp. We've got a Ozone Imager doing a little bit of widening, a little bit of stereo to that arp, and then Pancake 2. On a 4-bar pattern there, just moving left to right continuously. Auto panning saves me doing that job with automation. And then we get some melody come in. As you can see, there is quite a lot of different layers for the melody here because I didn't play this all in one go. It took me a little while to get this melody right, and then I took the best of all of the different pieces, stitched it together to get this. So after the 4 bars of that hooker over, it broke the track down a little bit into this sort of bridge section that lasts about 8 bars. So I kept the bass and the drums going for the first 4 bars there, cut the bass out after 2 bars, cut the main guitar out, kept the arp in, and then faded that out here. I've got this Labs vocal synth that for some reason is called Whirly, probably made it in the same pattern as my Whirly pattern. Using the Opia vocal synth, that's just playing a little bit of like background, kind of synthy, vocally kind of pad warmthness. And this is something that I hear in a lot of sleepy tracks, is this kind of like background ethereal vocal pattern. And I wanted to put that in this track too, to really kind of get the essence of those sleepy tracks. And it's something that I haven't done before. So for processing on that vocal, we've got an EQ that is really thinning the sound out. Without that EQ, it sounds like this. And then with that EQ, it sounds like this. And then we've got a Valhalla Supermassive again, just doing a huge reverb here, 90% mix, just really washing the sound out. So we get another piano that comes in, playing a secondary melody that I think, if I remember correctly, kind of mimics the guitar melody from earlier. I'm wrong, it doesn't mimic the guitar at all, but I added this secondary piano melody. And I don't know if you caught that there, but there was a little bit of kind of twinkly guitar ear candy that just played at that last moment. And what I did for these is I just recorded myself kind of noodling around in the guitar, a whole different of random parts. See, this pattern is literally called random part. Found the ones I liked the most and kind of just stitched them in where I thought it sounded nice. They were in the bridge of the track, but I still wanted to kind of fill it with these little pockets of sound to keep the listener interested. So we've got our piano playing, and then we've got these kind of weird, interesting little guitar parts that we haven't quite heard before. And the whole thing is just drowned in reverb and delay. We've got this like just absolutely huge soundscape at the moment. Tons and tons of space, because that is exactly what you need in a sleepy track. From there, I essentially brought everything back together. One final like outro and hook for the track. But on this hook, we have a second melody. It's almost exactly the same as the first melody, playing in a lower octave. Then a big cut there, bass cuts out, drums cut out, our chords even cut out, before finally the piano, the two different guitar melodies, everything comes back together for the final hook. And you'll notice that the two guitar melodies are actually different in what they're playing. They're focused on like the same guitar pattern, the same little kind of riff, but they're playing ever so slightly different things. So there's parts where they come together, there's parts where they play separately. It works really nicely. And then you'll notice in the outro, I brought back in the piano that we only heard in the intro once before. And then I've got one final little kind of ear candy, little kind of sweep to just play you out of the track. So there it is. That's the track that I made. And then I sent it off. I sent it off to Chilled Cat, submitted it to the compilation, and I waited. And then I saw that they had over 400 songs submitted. And then I waited some more. And eventually I got the message. My song had been accepted. It was one of only 20 songs accepted into this album. And I was so stoked. I really loved the way this song came together, and I was so happy that they enjoyed the way it sounded too. You know, I think as music producers and as people that are insular and spend most of our time online, most of our time making this stuff by ourselves, being creative alone, well, it's easy to get in your own head about your art, and it's easy to think that maybe my art isn't as good as other people. When I saw that message saying that they had 400 submissions, I thought there's no way my song's going to be accepted, but there's probably 300 songs that are even better than this one. I think it just goes to show that if you don't shoot your shot, if you don't just give it a go, you truly never know what's going to happen. So now if you go on Spotify and you head to my profile, you will see this song as a part of the Chilled Cat full 2024 album, and you can listen to it on any DSP now. If you like seeing me break down this track and were interested in the process, click on the link that's on the screen now to watch me break down another of my released songs.